Everybody, eyes up here.
You have failed this city.
Wow. I know, right? Hey! Quit messing around!
Not messing around, I'm doing important stuff.
Welcome, a man.
It's you the right. What's the difference between you and me?
I'm not wearing hockey pads.
But that is being human.
Gentlemen of culture, how is it going, everyone? Glad to see you here, and welcome back to the Watchtower, where we talk all things DC. We have a show today. We're going to talk about quite a few things, actually, from Supergirl to Superman to what's going on with the social media sites when it comes to the DC properties. All right, so we're going to talk about all that, as well as I want to take your questions and your concerns about what's going on, because I know there's a lot of back and forth, a lot of talk going on right now with what's going on with Superman, and we're going to get into it. So I want to hear what you guys are saying and what you guys think, and we'll take those concerns as well. So let's get into it. What's going on, everybody? Glad to see you here. This is nice. Look, the build up to Superman was a lot of fun. It's nice to kind of get back, settle down, just me and all of you guys. I like having guests. I like talking to guests and discussing things, but sometimes I like to just get back to the normal, just me and you guys, and just talking about DC and talking about what's going on in the world of pop culture. So I like this. It's nice to just kind of relax and get back to the things. And look, Superman, it was tons of fun. I did watch it again. I did go and see it again. So I am going to give a second watch mini review here in a little bit, because if you heard my review last week, you might be a little shocked about how my review is after my second watch. So who is here today? Let's see. Man, chat's blowing up. It is blowing up right now. We got Otito in here, says, what's up, DC fans? What's going on? Trevon's in here. Derpy Entertainment says, Slav. Critic Chris is in here. Amari's in here, says, sup. Movie Talk Now says, Slav, when should we expect issue 2 of your comic series against the Snyder Cult? Well, I got to get issue 1 out there first. And I found, so I made the first, I don't have it sitting here. So I finally got a actual printed copy of issue 1 in my hands about a week or two ago. And I wanted to go through it mainly because I wanted to look through and see how it looked, like, you know, in my hands. And I had some issues. It was a little darker than I wanted it to be. I found at least one spelling error, so I have to go in and fix that. So there's a few things I need to fix and try and lighten it up as best as I can, and then I got to find a way to get it out there for you all. So I'm hoping to get that one up and out there for everyone. Issue 2 is being worked on, so by the time issue 1 is out, issue 2 should be done and getting out there as well. I want it to be about a 6-issue run. Could be more, depending, but I have it planned out for 6 issues. So there's that information for you if I didn't tell you all that already. So yeah, that's what's going on with it. I just need to get everything finished up. It basically, everything, the way it fell was, it was like, hey, I got this all done. I'm doing all this. And then boom, Superman came, and I kind of was like, all invested in doing Superman stuff for the website, for the podcast, for helping other people doing stuff with Real Anarchy and other people. So, and Superhero Cuts, I was on their show earlier this week. So it was kind of like just so much going on. So I do intend to get that done. Hopefully I might be able to get it done this weekend and hopefully figure out how to get that out within the next week or two. So be on the lookout for that. Critic Chris is in here. Hey, Slav, and fellow DC fans. Oh boy. Uh-oh. Lost connection. Hopefully I'm still here. It says, the moment I saw them use the garbage truck to market the DCEU, I knew it was over. Yes, very true. Andre Olivaria, in the numbers website, they had updated the international numbers, but now it went back to 95. Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there. I didn't take that higher number. I'm not sure what happened. Look, the international numbers when it comes to box office, they kind of update very sporadically. That's why they pretty much only update them on those websites once a week. Sometimes, if you're lucky, they might update them twice a week, depending on the movie, depending on what's going on. So I don't expect to see an update on Superman until most likely, honestly, Sunday, Monday of next week. Maybe it could be earlier, but that's what I'm expecting. So don't just, that's why domestic numbers are always used and talked about as much as they are, because you can't really take what the international numbers, really are. But we're going to get into that in a little bit. So just hold that thought. Hold that thought, Andre. Critic Chris says, I've seen it a second time. I'd probably rate it 3.5 out of 5 stars. Trayvon says, I don't think a movie has ever left me fired up like Superman before. Trayvon says, 11 out of 10 for me. Literal perfection, because I'm a punk rocker. Yes, I am. Patrick Ollinger says, Ollinger, I'm sorry. I'm terrible with names. It says, hello, how's it going? Englewood. Michael Myers says, the Snyder Cult drives a lot of the narrative online. It's time we stop engaging because they are irrelevant. They are irrelevant. But, I hate to say it, but it does drive clicks. It really does. Whether it's for YouTube, whether it's on social media, it drives clicks because they love to hate click. They love to hate click. So if you post something that is going to bait them, they take it. They take that bait. They love that bait. So it's unfortunate. And, I hate to say that I get myself into it sometimes, but it does happen. It does happen. All right. Whoops, I did that already. All right, so let's dive in. I'm doing this a little differently today than I normally do. Because, normally I pull up websites, I pull up Twitter and everything like that, but I wanted to try something a little different. So, just yesterday, James Gunn decided to give us our quote-unquote first look at Supergirl, but he gave us our first teaser poster for Supergirl. Which I love. I love this poster. I talked about it in my video that dropped this morning, and it says, look out, with Millie Alcock, Supergirl, off to the side, sipping on a Slurpee or a blue drink, or is it alcohol? Who knows? And she's wearing her trench coat over her uniform, or her costume, or whatever you want to call it, standing there. Now, there are some things I want to say that I didn't say in my video earlier because I wanted to keep some things for this show to talk about. One, I do love this poster. I talked about that. Love the poster. I absolutely think it's great. I think this is going to show people that this is going to be, while it's still connected to Superman, it's going to be a completely different type of movie than Superman. Because yes, it is. It has to be. Supergirl, I think a lot of people were kind of bamboozled with the Supergirl TV show. See, the Supergirl TV show on CW was basically Superman in high heels. That's what they did with that TV show. That's all it really was. That wasn't who Supergirl has been in the comics. Supergirl in the comics is more of a cosmic type of character. She is somebody who does more things in the cosmic stratosphere of the DC universe. And she's a lot more hardcore. She deals with a lot more hardcore type of things. And if you don't believe me, read the comic that this movie is inspired off of, Woman of Tomorrow. You can get it off your your Kindle books for probably like $12 now or something like that. Like, read it. It's like 200, 300 pages total. Read it. It's excellent. You will enjoy it. The art is beautiful. It is a different type of art style, but I think you will enjoy it if you have not read it. It's awesome. You have almost an entire year to read it. Might as well do it. Anyway, so that is what this poster kind of insinuates a little bit. It insinuates that, hey, this is a little bit different. And how does it do that? Well, one, the look up moniker from Superman is kind of scratched out a little bit by Supergirl, where she puts out. She paints out over top of the up. So look up, which was all inspiring. It was supposed to be inspiring for Superman. And she puts out, because look out, here I come. Here comes Supergirl. Look out. That's exciting. Now, if you look closely, a lot of people pointed this out, that look at her hands. There's red on her fingertips. And everybody thinks that it could be blood. A lot of people think, no, it's just from the paint. Now, I'm leaning on the whole thing that I think it's blood, not paint, because why would she be so messy with the paint? Like, that is really messy hands for paint. Maybe she's drunk at doing it. Who knows? But that's really messy for just, painting out on the mural. Whatever. But if you look at it as blood, yeah, I mean, that's how hardcore she can be. She can be pretty hardcore in that way. Again, showcasing that this is a different type of movie, which is phenomenal. This movie is going to be really cool, really fun. I really am excited for this movie. Like I said on Superhero Cuts earlier in the week, is this the way that I would have done it? Not at all. But that doesn't mean I'm not excited for it. That doesn't mean that I can't wait to see this movie. That doesn't mean that, hey, I don't think Millie Alcock is right. I think this is going to be amazing. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm all for it. I think this was a really cool idea to do this poster this month. I also think that the marketing is going to be done similar to that of Superman. Now, I know that San Diego Comic-Con is coming up in about a few days. I think, this weekend it starts. Is it this weekend? I think it is. But within the next few days, San Diego Comic-Con starts. They're taking Peacemaker to Comic-Con. And I did say not too long ago that, hey, it's possible that they could, give some information on DC and what's going on with DC there. And people are like, well, they just said they're taking Peacemaker, and James Gunn, when he took Creature Commandos to wherever it was last year, what was it? Down in Brazil, CCXP, he only did that. But my thing is, it's a brand new world now. The DCU is now running and off to the races. So this is all new territory now. So could this, because typically when they show a poster, it could mean that, hey, maybe they're going to show a trailer of some sort, whether it's a little tease or something like that. Now, I know our boy Donovan, he was messaging me earlier yesterday about this and thinking, hey, maybe they could show a teaser or trailer of Supergirl just to the audience at Comic-Con. I'm not buying it. I don't think they're going to do that. I'm still kind of feeling that they're going to do very similar marketing for Supergirl that they did for Superman, kind of in the same structure. Maybe not balls to the walls like they did with Superman, but in the same kind of structure, where with Superman, they released that first image back in March of last year, and then they just kind of gave us little tidbits from there until about 6 months prior, and then they started doing a lot of stuff from that point out. I have a feeling they're going to do a very similar marketing strategy to that, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they'll show SDC, the SDCC crowd something that would be awesome for them. I'd be excited to hear about that. But we'll see. This is just really, really cool. Again, the DCU is here, and people just can't grasp that it's here. There's some people that just can't grasp it, and it's here, and it's coming, or it's not coming. It's here, and it's going to move forward. It's that simple. That's exciting. What are you guys seeing over here? Man, I marked this off way up here, and geez, let me see. Movie Talk Now says I started wearing my underwear outside my pants. I was so pumped by the movie until my wife threatened to divorce me. Well, man, sometimes you just gotta listen to your wife. Sometimes you just gotta, you can't. I know you get excited, but you gotta do what's best for the family sometimes. Amari says recently saw Carl Urban fan cast as Wildcat. Now can't unsee it. Let him do his Mortal Kombat thing. Can't fan cast Carl Urban for everything. Come on, man. I know it wasn't you, Amari. Trevon says, I do take solace over the fact that Superman is doing the same type of business as Batman Begins. Yeah, it is. But that was also a very, very different time back in 2005. Andre says, no other DC movie has ever opened my mind, and I think the majority of fans to so many theories and wishes for spinoffs. Movie Talk Now. Will Crypto survive the DCU, or his death imminent? Don't. Shh. Quiet. Amari, everyone can agree this is way better than what they did for the first look of Superman. Yes, this is way better than the first look of Superman. Absolutely can agree. But in hindsight, now that we know what that first look of Superman was, it is kind of funny. I will say that. Donovan says, so happy that DC is back. Yes. And as Donovan says, wonder if this indicates a teaser, perhaps at San Diego Comic-Con. Patrick says, cool poster. Trayvon says, honestly, I would not be surprised if Supergirl gets released in early May of next year. It's possible, maybe, but I don't know if they're going to move it. I think they're kind of confident and comfortable with where they have things, but anything's possible, I guess. Movie Talk Now says that scene I didn't like in Superman when the Justice Gang was fighting an interdimensional being, and Superman was like, nah, not big enough for me. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that it was more like, nah, not big enough for me. I think it was more like, look, they got it handled. I have other stuff on my plate. If he didn't have the other stuff on his plate, I think he'd be there, personally. Patrick Ollinger says, I love the 80s Supergirl movie. That's not many people like that. You're one of the few. Movie Talk Now, it didn't feel consistent with the Superman that was written up to that point. I see what you're saying. Donovan says, I have a feeling it's not just going to be Peacemaker shown at San Diego Comic-Con. You're probably right. Like I said, I thought that from the beginning. I didn't think that they would give us anything for Supergirl, but maybe they do. Critic Chris says, I loved we got to see both Superman and Supergirl in a movie together for real, not like in The Flash. Honestly, we didn't see them together, technically. If you think about it, they weren't together. Hope for Life says she probably got the blood on her hands from a bar fight. Yeah, probably. Patrick Ollinger says, I think the international numbers will get it better, just needs more time. We'll talk about that, don't worry. Amari says she gives off being a rebel, in my opinion. That's exactly what she's supposed to be doing there. Zeke says, hey, chat, leave a like. Exactly. Leave a like, everyone. Hit that like button. If you're not subscribed, hit subscribe as well. On my way to 3,000 subscribers. So not too far off, but not quite there yet. Let's see. Where are we at? Man, so many comments. Movie Talk Now says, I might go to New York Comic-Con this year. That'd be cool. D-Man7 have the Snyder Bros already doing their victory lap that Superman isn't going to make as much as Man of Steel adjusted box office. Well, again, we'll talk about the box office in a little bit, but they need to just go away, honestly. Peacemaker next month says, I can live happy, says Amari 4. It's going to be exciting. Peacemaker, I think, is going to be a lot of fun, especially because James Gunn has said that it's going to. Well, we're going to get into that here shortly, but yeah, that's cool. D-Man 7, what would have ended up being a great story point would be at the end of Superman, it was revealed that one of the Superman robots was actually Brainiac and manipulated his parents' footage. That would have been interesting. Always with the what ifs or the what could have beens. Hunter Iggy asks, where is Derpy Entertainment? Well, he was in the chat. I don't know where he went to. Let's see. Critic Chris says Helen Slater was greatly casted, but that's the only great thing out of that movie. That's kind of how I feel too. Yes. Hope for Life. Good news. I just bought Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow comic this week. That's awesome. Enjoy it. I'm thinking about maybe doing some kind of video based off of the comic, but I don't know yet. Similar to what I did with kind of like a video I did off of Creature Commandos, but maybe a little more in depth because Woman of Tomorrow, like we know the movie's going to be more based off of Woman of Tomorrow more so. I'm thinking about it. I don't know. We'll see. Donovan says, I don't care. I love the Inspired Kingdom Come or the Kingdom logo they went with for the House of L in the DCU. It is awesome. Otito with the $4.99 super chat. Thank you so much. Says less than 50% weekend drop expanded there, and what does it say? Constant great word of mouth can keep it in theaters for 3 months, and Rebirth leaves August 5th. Look, it has amazing word of mouth. I don't know if you saw what I said or what I've talked about in my video earlier today and what I said on social media. And if you've seen, I mean, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday had stellar box office. I went to the theater on Tuesday. My theater was packed on Tuesday. The audience loved the movie. They were laughing and they clapped at the end of the movie. That is a show of great word of mouth. That is showing that people are telling other people, go see this movie, go see it. And that's why I think this weekend is going to be awesome for this movie. It's not going to be as big as last weekend. Never is. But I think it's going to have a strong weekend. But it's going to have legs. This movie is going to absolutely have legs. And yes, Fantastic Four coming out next week is definitely going to, hurt it. I mean, yes, we knew that was going to happen. But that doesn't mean that it's not going to last for the full 90 days in theaters. It's going to last that full 90 days. And it's really going to help push and bolster that movie up. Now, even like, let's just say, and I don't think it's not going to be good, but let's say Fantastic Four just flops, and it not flops, but isn't as good as what people think or hope that it's going to be. Then people are just going to forget about Fantastic Four and go back and see Superman again, and that's going to help. But I'm not saying that Fantastic Four is not going to be good. I really hope that Fantastic Four is good. I've liked a lot of the TV clips that we've seen, the clips that they've released, not TV clips, but the clips they've released. So I think they've been better than the trailers. So I'm hoping and I believe that the movie's going to be good. So yeah, I think that it's going to have legs for sure. But thank you again, Otito. Thank you very much. Donovan says, adjusted for inflation. Purple guy. It's wild how Superman being good has already had such a positive impact on DC. Seeing all the positivity for Supergirl on TikTok instead of the usual immediate negativity is crazy. That's another thing I've seen on TikTok too, is just how many people are just loving Superman and throwing these positive videos out there. It's great to see. So many comments, guys. Thank you so much on here. It's crazy. Amari, also James said that he will be releasing the murals of the Heroes show and Hall of Justice. Yeah, I wonder when he's going to do that, because I really want to like get down and dirty into all that stuff. That's going to be fun. Patrick says, do you think Wally West be the DCU Flash? I hope so. I'd like it to be Wally, but I would also like to have like an older Barry Allen and a younger Wally West to have kind of both so we can have that dynamic, but that's just me. Hope for Life, the best part about Superman is that even people like Josh from the Den of Nerds are enjoying this. Matt Jarbo on his own channel even said he was wrong about Superman. He thinks it's a good movie. Hey, you knew that was going to win people over. You just knew it was going to. D-Man Sevens, I wonder if the Supergirl director, what's his name, Gillespie, I can't remember his first name, had input on the costume design, considering it looks very similar to Gunn's Superman costume. Well, this costume actually does have some differences from what we saw in the Superman movie. The belt's different, the skirt's a little bit different. I believe the boots are slightly different. So I'm sure he, was able to make and adjust things the way that would fit for him. And then let's face it, I'm sure that they made some changes because of, you can't even see my face. I'm sure they made some changes just based off of usability in the movie as well. So, let's see. Trayvon says my audience did the same thing. All right. I'm going to move on to the next story, or the next thing I want to talk about, which is maybe. Come on. There we go. According to sources via Variety, a Wonder Woman film is being fast-tracked at DC Studios. That came off the heels of James Gunn answering when we will see Batman and Wonder Woman movies, which he said it's not going to be until the script is ready. Both scripts are being written now, and if they're good, we'll go into production immediately. All right. So he says, look, when these scripts are done and ready, we're going to go into production immediately, which I think is fantastic. Okay. And for me, if I sitting here, if I listening to James Gunn say, we're going to go into production immediately when the scripts are ready. To me, that sounds like they're fast tracking these movies. Like they want to get these things out fast. I know there's been a lot of theorizing, like they're going to wait for Matt Reeves' Batman to come out and then they'll do Brave and the Bold. I don't think they're doing that anymore. I think as soon as they're ready to put Brave and the Bold or the DCU Batman into production, they're going to put it in production and they're going to get it made. And then once it's made, they'll adjust the release schedule as need be. I think they just want to make sure that it's getting made. As for Wonder Woman, I think, as Variety says, that is being fast-tracked, and I think it's going to come out much sooner than I think a lot of people realize. I think that movie is going to be out in 2027. I really do. I think it's going to be out very, very soon, and I'm looking forward to that. The question is, who is going to be Wonder Woman? Because I know a lot of people have their theories on it. Now, who's going to be Batman? I know a lot of people have their theories on that, but a lot of people have their theories and are trying to guess who's Wonder Woman. Now, everybody wants Adria Arjona, but I don't know. I don't know if they're going to go with a name. I think it's going to be unknowns. I really do. They went with an unknown for Superman. I think they're going to go with unknowns for the other ones as well. What do you think? I don't know. I saw a comment here. Where did it go? Big Lee, formerly known as Ryan Cinematics. Hey, Slav. First time commenting. I love Superman, and seeing the Hall of Justice made my audience cheer. Yeah, that was cool seeing the Hall of Justice. I loved it too. I thought it was great. So Trayvon said, you're doing something right if you got YouTubers who usually don't review movies, review Superman. Absolutely. It was a cultural hit, specifically in the domestic area, in the United States specifically. It was a cultural hit. It really was. Lord Rage says, so far, nothing but old news. If you're talking about what I'm talking about, yeah, I do a show once a week, twice a week really, but once a week talking about DC. So this is stuff that just came out over the last 2 days. Sorry. Big Lee says, I want to know who's writing DCU Batman. Yeah, there's some theories out there, but Drew Goddard's the big one that people think could be doing it. Yeah, I don't know. There's some theories also out there that people think it could be Matt Reeves was writing it and that he wrote both his Batman and this Batman, but I don't believe that also at all. So, but we could see. We'll see. It'll be interesting to find out. Maybe it's James Gunn himself. Who knows? All right, next thing. James Gunn teases the DCU is built around a character that fans have seen before, but probably isn't anyone would ever expect. He says, I think that if people watch the next season of Peacemaker, they'll see where a lot of these things are going. Now, Peacemaker starts August 21st, I believe it is. So that's exciting. Gives us a reason to watch Peacemaker. But here's the thing. Remember, he has explicitly said, look, you don't have to watch Peacemaker to understand what this is doing or what this is doing. Like, that's his whole thing. You don't have to watch his stuff to understand. But you will be rewarded if you do. And this is kind of what he's talking about. If you watch Peacemaker, you're going to be rewarded because you might see and understand where things are starting to lead. So who do we think it could be? I've heard some people say, oh, maybe it's going to be Amanda Waller who's the big bad. I don't think it's going to be Amanda Waller. I threw out the name Circe. Could it be Circe who's going to be the big bad, at least in this first chapter? Because she's pretty powerful, and it works with that gods and monsters idea and aspect. So maybe, and plus they're fast-tracking Wonder Woman. So could it be? Maybe. I don't know. But there's a lot of ideas and theories and thoughts that we could kind of explore here. So I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments on who you think it could be that they could hint to in the upcoming, and maybe it's not even a hint. Maybe they really go full on with who it is in Peacemaker. Who knows? Again, he says it's a character that fans have seen before. That doesn't necessarily mean that we've seen him in the DCU. It could be a character that we've seen outside of the DCU. He doesn't specify. It could have been a character that we saw in the DCEU. It could be a character that we've seen somewhere else and maybe the Arrowverse. I don't know. He's not specific about that. But he says probably isn't anyone would ever expect. Well, now we have to start theorizing. Now we have to start trying to, put on our thinking caps and start to try and figure out who it could be. Because this is the fun part of being a fan in a new franchise. And I love this part of it. I love the theorizing. I love trying to figure this stuff out. But I would love to hear what you guys have and what you guys are thinking. So put them in the comments below. Put them in the comments here. I love to hear what you guys think it could be or who it could be, because sometimes you guys come up with some of the wildest ideas that I would never have thought of. And sometimes you guys come up with the most obvious ideas that I would just may overlook. So let me know what you think. The Watcher thinks Jessica Green should be Wonder Woman. I believe that's what you put there, Watcher. I know a lot of people have said that too. I've heard that a lot too. I don't know. I don't think that works. Let's see. What are you guys saying here? Oh, Tito again with another $4.99. Thank you so very much, Tito. It says, if what you say is true, getting the Batman 2 after 6-7 years is nasty work. Again, I don't think the Batman 2 is going to be the one that gets pushed back. I just think if Brave and the Bold script gets done, let's say it gets done within the next 4 or 5 months, and then they put it into production. Well, we know that the Batman 2 is in production already. So then it's going to be Batman 2 gets put out and then Brave and the Bold gets put out. I just think they're going to get it into production as fast as possible so they can get it out as fast as possible. I'm not going to say they're going to push Batman 2 first or push Batman 2 out so they can get Brave and the Bold out first. I just think that they just want to get it into production so then they can comfortably sit there and say, okay, let's see where we can put it out at that point in time, because they may not get a good script until a year from now. They may get a good script tomorrow and say, okay, let's go. And then they can sit there and say, all right, which one are we going to get out first? Which one can get done? Because maybe the production for the Brave and the Bold will take less time than the Batman 2. Who knows? We don't know any of those details. Maybe Matt Reeves wants a little more time. Maybe they need to go back to the drawing board and spruce up the script on the Batman 2. We don't know. So maybe they push the Batman 2 6 months. Maybe they don't. Who knows? All I'm saying is I think that's kind of how they're looking at it now. It's just they need a Batman movie. They need a Batman in the DCU. Once they get the script that they like, that they want, they're going to get it into production. And they're not going to let it fall within, probably the same 6 to 8 months of each other. Now, 12 months, sure. I think, 12 months apart, they'll release them, but not 6 to 8 months apart. So, and then they'll just figure out how that works all. That's what I'm saying. All right. So don't think I'm saying that they're going to push Batman 2 so Brave and the Bold gets out. I think it's just, hey, whichever one is ready is going to get out, and it's going to be whatever one is ready is going to come out on that 2027 release year, and then their release day in 2027, and then the other one will get put out later. That's all I'm saying. That's all. Let's see. Movie talk now. Latita with the big dick energy. Hell yeah. I like it too. Movie talk now says Peacemaker season 1 is underrated. It was fantastic. I completely agree. It was so much fun. If you can't have fun with something like that, then what are you? Come on now. I love how people now correlate some of the stuff that Peacemaker Chris was saying about Superman to the monkeys. all the ridiculous thing the monkeys were saying online is absolutely something Peacemaker would take and think is real and go around saying, "Did you hear about Superman? Superman has a poop fetish." Like, that is something that he would pick up from the monkeys putting online. Like, think about it. Like, that's exactly how probably he got something like that. It makes so much sense now. I love it. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Critic Chris says, I wonder if Ana de Armas would be good as Harley Quinn. I think she might be a little out of their price range right now, but she probably would be. She's good in everything she does, so probably. Hope for Life says, damn, now that I think about it, I got to look it up and find out how old she is. I thought she was great in Ballerina. That's why I feel like she would be great Wonder Woman. Oh, I mean, she probably would be good as Wonder Woman too, but I don't know. Lord Rage says Vandal Savage. I said that a long time ago, Vandal Savage. I think Vandal Savage would be great. Lord Rage says Immortal Rich Evil. Yes. Trayvon says Vandal Savage, Jon Stewart, and William Black Hand comes to mind. I said a while ago that I think Vandal Savage could be part of the Lantern series, which would be cool. And that's how it could lead up to it. That was a long time ago I said that. Big Lee says, I think it's Peacemaker and Waller if only they kept the show. Amari says, I got two good looks of who's on the mural. You're talking to Donovan there. Yeah, I saw some good looks of it too. Man, I'm already almost 40 minutes into the show. Holy crap, what's going on today? I feel like I've only been on the show for like 15, 20 minutes. All right, next thing. Let's get moving here. Man, I'm only 3 slides in. All right, this one's pretty interesting. The social media sites updated their... What is in the way? Stupid toys. Okay. The social media sites updated the logos of multiple DC characters today on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. And here's some of the looks of some of them. Wonder Woman on Twitter changed it to that. Batman on Twitter changed it to that. Harley Quinn on Facebook. Green Lantern on Facebook was changed. Now, as you notice over on the side, on the banners, it also has the DC Studios logo. Because some people were thinking, oh, could it mean that it's something comics related? Well, with the DC Studios logo, I'm more leaning that it could mean something film related. Specifically the Wonder Woman and Batman thing. And we know Lanterns is coming. The Harley Quinn one's a little interesting. But I digress. It's all interesting. Now, the Wonder Woman one has a different logo on the other social sites than the Twitter one, which is interesting. Like Facebook is different than, and Instagram is different than it is on X. So it's interesting. But could these be the logos, the placeholder logos, at least right now, for Batman and Wonder Woman? Interesting. Could we be hearing an update on these at San Diego Comic-Con? Interesting. I don't know. I'm hopeful. I'm excited. Regardless, it's cool to see because you know what logos were there before these? Before these, it was the DCEU logos for Batman and Wonder Woman specifically. So it's exciting to see that they've fully embraced and moved forward away from the DCU at this point in time. So that's exciting. All right. I want to give my quick re-review of Superman. Like I said, I did go see it, a second time. If you remember, my review last week was that I enjoyed it, but I had some issues. And, I got bored at times. And Overall, like, yeah, it was fun. I liked Corn Sweat as Superman. I felt that he was the Superman of this generation. So that was my review last week. So when I went and saw it this Tuesday, I came out of that theater so excited, so overjoyed, so happy about that movie. Like, I really fully enjoyed myself far more than I did after I watched it the first time. Now, could it have been the environment that I was in? Because the audience in the first one that I went and saw it, they weren't great. Like, there was no like over excitement in the theater. There was no clapping at the end or anything like that the first time I saw it. Like I said, the second time I saw it, people were laughing, having a good time. At the end, they all clapped. Like, it was a great time in the theater. So could the environment, could the atmosphere have played a role? Possibly, yes. But even like removing that, like sitting there, like I wasn't bored at all. Like through the movie, I enjoyed the film thoroughly from start to finish. Every moment of the movie, I enjoyed watching every scene. I was able to pick up on everything that maybe I missed. There was things that I may have missed. Sure, it still has its flaws. I'm not going to sit here and say that this movie doesn't have flaws. It absolutely does. The score, I still don't think is magnificent. Next week, I actually want to talk about the score specifically on this show. I really want to dive into the score next week, so keep that in mind. But really, like when I sit here and think about the movie, I have to say, like, the second watch was far more enjoyable than the first watch. Again, that's not to say that there aren't flaws with it. That's not to say that some of the things that I had an issue with the first time, they're still there. They are still there. But I was able to look past them this time. I was able to sit there and say, you know what? I can look past that because I know this part is a lot of fun. I know the action is a lot of fun. I know that David Cornsweet just encapsulates Superman so well. I know that Rachel Brosnahan is Lois Lane. Like, there's so many pieces of this movie that are so great that you can look past some of the issues with the film on your second watch. And I'm sure you can do the same thing on the third watch. So I'm thinking about going to see it again, maybe one more time, maybe two more times before it's out of the theater. But I thoroughly enjoyed it the second time. And I think that's what's happening for some people. I think there's people that enjoyed it enough that they were like, hey, I'm going to go see it a second time. When they see it a second time, they're like, wow, this is so good. So then they go a third time and see it. And they're telling their friends and their family and their grandmas and their uncles and their whatever, their brothers, their sisters, like how much fun they're having. And then they're going to see it also. They're taking their kids, they're taking their spouses, they're taking their whatever to see this movie, and everybody is having fun. And that is the key. We've talked about it. This hits the four quadrants. This hits the young kids, the women, the children, the boys, the girls, the old, the grandparents. This hits every quadrant that you need to hit. Why? Because it does. Like, it's fun, it's funny, it's exciting, it's heartfelt. It has great action. It has everything you need. Again, it still has its flaws, it still has its issues, but it hits everything it needs to hit, and that's why people really enjoy it. So again, that's my kind of re-review of the movie. I really enjoyed it the second time, and I think that's a good thing. That's why I've always said for so long that I think a lot of critics should watch films no less than 2 times before they fully give a review. Back on my old podcast, Bridging the Geekdoms, I used to say that all the time. Like, I never fully grasp something until I've watched it 2 times. And I think that goes for critics too. I think sometimes critics need to watch something twice to fully grasp it. And hey, sometimes you hate a movie and you hate a movie. So sometimes you have to watch it a second time to really understand you hate a movie. Or sometimes you need to watch a movie a second time to really understand how much you love a movie. And that's kind of how I feel sometimes. And I felt watching this a second time showed me, like, I know there's these flaws, and I'll talk about those flaws and I'll point them out, because I will give an unbiased, true, honest opinion about the movie. But I'm going to talk about how much I liked it too. And the second time watching it, it showed me the things that I liked and highlighted those things I liked. So there you go. All right, moving on. All right. Now, the real thing I want to talk about today is, and I know I've done a lot of talking about it, and a lot of people have talked about it online. The discourse online has been absolutely crazy when it comes to the box office. What is the box office for Superman? What is the box office for Superman? There's the domestic box office. There's the international box office. What is going on with Superman? It's crazy. The box office, the box office, the box office. Oh, man. All right, look, guys. The box office is what the box office is. It's plain and simple. There's no other way to put it. The box office is what the box office is. It's not going to change so drastically. We heard like on Monday, early reports on Monday, it was like, hey, it's made like $13 million on a Monday. Or on Tuesday, we heard it made like 13 million, but it was actually like 12.9. So it like changes like $100,000 here or there. Like then we heard on Wednesday, like Tuesday, it made like 17. No, it actually made 17.1, or whatever. So like we hear these numbers fluctuate very small amounts, but the box office is what it's going to be. But so many people are trying to say, for so long, they were saying for days and days, oh, when you compare it to Man of Steel, it failed. This movie is a flop. It flopped so hard. This movie is a failure. It failed so hard. Now, I talked about this on Superhero Cuts the other day, and I kind of touched on it a little bit, but I didn't go full, like hardcore in depth with this. Because here's the thing. People need to understand that I get they want to compare to the past. I understand it. I get you want to say, well, this Superman didn't do as well as this Superman, or this Superman didn't do as good as this one, or it did better than this one, or it didn't do better than this one. And I get that some people want to sit there and believe that, hey, the studio is absolutely going to compare like we are, but they're not. They may sit there and say, well, the fandom in 2013 was far more excited about that Superman movie than this one. So what's the deal? And then they'll look at the reasons on why. That's as far as it may go. Maybe. But they may not even look at that. Now here's the kicker, okay? So we need to focus on the here and now. The here and now being like the last 3 to 5 years of what's going on in the industry. All right. Now, I know that you're seeing numbers here that are back from 2018. And I want to point something out when it comes to the international numbers, because these are some important numbers that I want to talk about when it comes to international box office, because that is another thing that people are sitting here talking about when it comes to international box office is Superman only made $95 million at the international box office on opening weekend. It's a flop. Nobody likes it internationally. Well, excuse me. Aquaman in 2018, which did go in China, made $93.6 million its opening weekend, but finished at almost $300 million internationally. All right. Wonder Woman in 2017 made $122 million opening weekend, finished at $410. Black Panther, opened in 2018, started at $169 opening weekend, finished at $646. The big one that I really want to point out is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, started at $21 million and finished at $185. Venom is another one, $107, finished at $269. Now, what is the point of me showing this? The point of me showing this is that internationally, there is a trend where superhero films, and it's not just superhero films, it's other films as well, like Mission Impossible and Pixar films and stuff like that, where internationally, that first weekend, they will start around that $100 million mark, give or take. They'll start low, and then they can finish strong. And when I say finish strong, they'll jump up a good amount of money, another 150, 200, 300 million dollars. Now, I'm not sitting here saying that that is going to happen with Superman. I'm just saying and showcasing that there is a trend that shows this. That this happens in the international market. Okay? That's what happens. Now, moving on, we show here, we take a look. Top Gun Maverick made a $1.496 billion. You know where it didn't show? In China. Because another thing that people like to freak out about is China. Well, the movie Superman's doing terrible in China right now. Oh, is it? Who cares? Movies can absolutely be successful without China. Top Gun Maverick made $1.49 billion without China. Spider-Man No Way Home, over $1 billion without China. Joker, over $1 billion without China. Barbie, $1.4 billion, only $32 million in China. Oppenheimer, only $63 million in China. The Batman, only $25 million in China. So when I sit here, and why I'm showing you this stuff is because when all of these naysayers come out of the woodwork and try to say Superman is failing in China, that's it. It's a flop. It's over for them. They're not looking at the proper information. They refuse to look at the real information, the actual information that is out there. All they're doing is looking at the numbers that's right in front of them, and they say, well, obviously Superman's a flop. Now, that's not to sit here and say that Superman's not going to struggle to make X amount of money, okay? It's not to say it's not going to struggle. It very well could. I'm not sitting here saying that Superman's going to be $1 billion movie. I'm not saying that either. But what I'm sitting here saying is that Superman can absolutely be a successful movie without China. I'm sitting here saying that Superman, following and looking at trends that we've seen in the past, can be a successful movie internationally because the trends show that movies start off slow and finish big internationally. Okay? So there you have it. When you look at the international and the China numbers, they are very wonky. Very, very wonky. Okay? Now, when it comes to, and I've shown this chart to most of you guys that are watching. I know you may be sick of seeing this chart, but I love showing it because this chart throws all of anybody, all the naysayers, all the people that sit here and whine and cry and say that Superman's a flop. And they try to sit there and compare it to Man of Steel or Batman vs. Superman. They refuse to look at the facts. This information here is what studios are looking at. Okay? This is the type of information they look at. This here is a chart of the box office totals for comic book movies since the year 2000. All right? And if you see the last 2 years, 2023 and 2024, the average in 2023, the average was under $400 million box office. In 2024, the average was $453 million. Okay? The average for 2025 is lower than that right now because not with Superman in it. Because, well, Brave New World and Thunderbolts didn't do too hot. Now, Superman right now is nearing $300 million. If it stays on track, you can rest assured that it's going to hit 500. Excuse me. It's in my opinion, I think it's going to hit the 600, most likely 650, if not more, in a 90-day run. That's my opinion. That means that the average, which is the latest average in 2024, was $453 million box office for a comic book movie. Superman is going to make probably, in my opinion, $200 million more than that. That's phenomenal. That's phenomenal. The studio will look at that and say, holy crap. we did better than what most comic book movies are doing right now. That means that the audience said, hey, we like this better than all these other comic book movies. That's what they're saying. That is exactly what they're saying. But here's the thing. People want to sit there and say, well, it still didn't do better than Man of Steel. It didn't do better than Batman vs. Superman. Oh, man. Why would they even do that then? Well, let's take a look. You go back to 2013. You go back to 2015. You go back to 2016. What was the average superhero movie making at that time? $600 million, $700 million. That's what they were making at that time. You were right at almost at the peak. You were on the way up to the peak of the comic book movie genre boom. That is when things were getting huge. That is when you should have been making a crap ton of money with the superhero films. That's when studios were expecting to make $800, $900, $1 billion for your superhero films. That's what they wanted to see. In 2025, it's a much different story. Why? Well, take a look at this. This is domestic movie tickets sold, domestic, since 2010. It's sold in the millions. So you see, in 2010, look at this graph and how far down movie tickets have come over the last 15 years. Look at that. All right. Tell me there isn't a trend of tickets going down. Look at that 2013 to 2016 time frame. More people were going to the theaters back then. So of course a movie like Man of Steel, Batman vs. Superman would sell more tickets. Absolutely. More people were going to the theater back then. Absolutely. Less people are going to the theater today. And that proves it here that less people are going to see comic book movies as well. So when you take a look at that information, who is looking at this information specifically? Who? The studio heads, the people running the studios. They look at this information. They know fewer people are going to the theaters. They know that the average comic book movie only makes $450 million, if it's lucky, in the theaters. So they know Superman, if it can surpass that $450 million, if they can get butts into the seats and sell more than 600 million tickets, 700 million tickets, that's a victory for them. But what's causing all of this? Well, over the last number of years, it's been things like shorter windows for movies because they're not in the theaters for 90 days or more. Because of streaming, marketing hasn't been great. Come on, look, DC marketing has always been terrible, but marketing for Superman was fantastic. The pandemic really played a role the last number of years. I'm not saying today, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying the pandemic is playing a role today, but from like 2020, 2021, 2022, yeah, it absolutely played a role. Marketing misses, pricey premium. The prices have gone up. People don't want to pay the prices. That goes with the sticker shock. The content just hasn't been good. Home theaters, like my TV here, I got like almost an 80-inch screen TV. I got a Govee light set up. I got a great theater system. To watch movies at home. I got a nice comfortable couch back here. It's not a bad deal to watch movies here. Absolutely not a bad deal to watch movies at my house. Is it as great as a theater? No, but it's darn good. So when you get down to it, hey, there's a reason why the tickets have gone down, and there's a reason why comic book movies aren't making a lot of money. So if Superman can surpass that and overcome all of that, well, hell yeah, that's a victory for Superman. But here's the biggest thing. Here is the biggest thing, okay? Because I can't stress this enough. I've been talking about this for a year or more. This is a brand new universe that is coming off the heels of a failed universe. The DCEU was a failure, catastrophic failure, catastrophic failure. But here's the thing. They needed Superman to get fans and audiences excited for DC. That's what they need this movie to do. As of today, nearly a week since its release, it came out 1 week ago. 83% critic score, 93% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes, an A- cinema score. It's got the audience excited. You go on social media, you go on TikTok. We just talked about it. People on TikTok are loving this movie. They're making videos of punk rockers saying, when I walked out of Superman, they're doing the whole thing where they're laying on a chair and they're playing punk rockers, smiling at the camera. Like they're doing trends based off Superman. They're having fun. They're loving this movie. They're having crypto lookalike contests. They're doing things because of this film. Superman, the movie, Man of Steel, Superman, all of those streaming on HBO Max have jumped up like 300%, 150%, 400% being watched on HBO Max because people went and saw Superman and they wanted more Superman content to watch, and they went and watched those things on HBO Max. People are loving this movie. People are excited about Superman. People are excited about DC content again. That is what this movie was supposed to do. And it's done it. But people aren't excited. People aren't going to see the movie. No. What don't you understand, people? Nobody's going to the theaters. The fact that it's making as much money as it's making, and it's going to make more, don't think it's not going. Look, it's been 7 days, not even a full 7 days yet. The fact that in these 7 days that it's made nearly $300 million, probably more than $300 million at this point, because we don't have all the international numbers, more than $300 million after 7 days. Come on, guys. You don't think in the next 80 days it's going to make another $300 million? Absolutely it will. Absolutely. It's going to be a huge win. Huge win for DC Studios, for Warner Brothers. Absolutely huge win. It's already a huge win for Warner Brothers and DC Studios. Already. It's done everything it needs to do at this point. It's that simple. Absolutely. All right, guys. I went on my rant. How are you feeling about it? How do you feel about Superman now that I gave you the nitty-gritty? I went into detail better than probably anybody else would. I gave you graphs. I gave you hard information. I showed you the information. I gave you the details and let you see things for yourself with your own eyes. Let you guys see it. The cult doesn't do that. No, they just sit there and scream at Twitter and hope you believe them. They just scream flop, flop, flop. But I show you the information. Cut this out, guys. You know, I don't know if you know how to do that. Like in YouTube, you can take and like portion out the section of the video, and you can just portion it out and share it. Like, look at this. You're wrong. Look at this. You're wrong. Look at this. Show it to them. Because they're wrong. They're wrong. Nicholas Batoni says, Guntards making all types of excuses. First, it was going to make $1 billion. Nobody said seriously that it was going to make $1 billion. Nobody did. Then it doesn't need to make money. Where's all the alleged people who watched the most viewed trailer? All right, first off, nobody ever said it was going to make $1 billion, my dude. Nobody ever did. Nobody ever thought it was going to make $1 billion. Because we're not idiots. We understand where everything lies. We understood how the industry works and where the industry was. We understood that it had an uphill battle because the DCEU was in shambles and that this was a reestablishing of a universe. So there's that. Just because it had the most watched trailer doesn't mean that those people didn't go watch the movie. Absolutely does. But let's also not forget that it's been a week. People go and return and see movies over and over again, but they don't go back to back to back to back days. Sometimes they go the next weekend and the weekend after. So it's been a week, my dude. Calm down. Calm down. Let's see. Watcher says, can't wait for Superman 2. I know. Dark Barcode Warrior says, hi, the Watchtower. Well, hi. The show is called the Watchtower, but I am Slav. So, hi, how are you? Let's see. Movie Talk Now. Superman porn is trending on all the major X outlets too. That's weird. Trayvon says punk rocker in 5 years' time have become extremely popular because of Superman. Very true. Those also were trending on all the streaming music apps. Amari says, damn, the fact that Gunn is the reason people are watching Man of Steel because they want more Superman. Damn. Yeah, exactly. It's crazy. It's crazy. Oh, boy. Big Lee says, all I'm waiting for is Peacemaker, Lanterns, and Supergirl. As am I. Movie Talk Now says, it makes total sense. Lanterns is going to be Jon Stewart-centric, but I'm a little sad my boy Guy Gardner won't be, nor that other GL named Hal Jordan. You guys may know him. You know, it would have been better if it was Ryan Reynolds, though. You know that, right? No, I'm not serious about that. D-Man7, speaking of Watchtower, do you think we'll get a Watchtower headquarters instead of the Hall of Justice? Oh, man, we're talking about this again. We talked about that on Superhero Cuts. I don't think there's one that's necessary right now. But eventually we'll get one. I think eventually. I just don't know, like, where it would fit right now. I just don't know when it'll fit, where it would fit right now. Andre says, my prediction is 750 million. Movie Talk Now says, Slav, you're 1000% right. Every genre across the board is down. There's literally movie theater blockbusters fatigue, not superhero fatigue. Critic Chris says, facts, Slav. I know, man. I do what I do. Patrick says, people started to stay home and wait for stuff to come streaming after COVID. Look, Jurassic World is supposed to hit digital, to buy it and watch it digitally, not streaming. Like, you can't watch it for free streaming, but it'll be on digital August 5th. So you'll be able to basically buy it or rent it for like $30 at home. With a family as big as mine, you know, if people have 4-5 people, like, that's the cheaper way to go. Like, I don't know why people, like, they don't understand that. It's wild. Trayvon says, food for thought, X-Men, Batman Begins, and even The Dark Knight gross more domestically than internationally. It's true. You know, another thing, The Batman earned 124 million internationally on its opening weekend. So, like, you know, like, then it did big. I mean, then it grew, you know, so it very close to how much Superman made. People just need to calm down. Let's see what else is up here. Trying to catch some of these comments I missed earlier. Tito with another super chat. My man. Says, I respect your love for Man of Steel, but BVS will always be a mystery to me. Look, man, I enjoy, look, the first, I say this all the time. The first time I saw BVS in the theater, I walked out and was annoyed. I was completely annoyed. I was like, I wasted 2.5 hours to watch this piece of junk. It wasn't until the Ultimate Edition came out where I watched it and I was like, I get it now. This is better. And I had to watch it a few times to really, really get it and really enjoy it. Again, it's a flawed movie, absolutely a flawed movie, but I really do enjoy that film. The reason I think I enjoy it so much is because I look at the larger story for it. And I think that's why a lot of the Snyder fans enjoy it so much, is because we started to learn what this larger story was going to be. You start to see what this large story is, and you appreciate it more from that. A movie on its own, like if it's just a movie on its own, it's a little harder to take, but a story on a larger scale, when you understand where it's supposed to lead with Justice League 1, 2, 3, all that whole thing, you start to enjoy it more and like, yeah, that's going to be great. And I think that's why a lot of people get mad that we never got the rest of the stuff. That's all. Watcher says Wonder Woman is the best part of BVS. Trayvon says spitting facts, Slav. Jay Kelly, Zeta Tubes wearing Superman. A Watchtower is coming. Yes. Yeah, exactly. You can use those to get to and from. D-Man says, I think another reason for poor international numbers is the UK critics really hated it. Yeah, they did. It was crazy how much the UK critics hated that movie. It was wild. Lord Rage. Anyway, who to cast for DCU, Batman, and Robin? I don't know. I did have a poll question here. Which was, will Superman make more than $650 million? 46 votes, 72% of you said yes, and 28% of you said no. So I'm going to end that poll now. So there you have it. And let's see, anything else? Nope. Let's see, what else do we got here? Patrick asked, will Superman 2 be a Superman Batman movie? I don't think it will be. I know a lot of people were theorizing. Even I at one point thought it was going to be like a World's Finest. I don't think they're going that route. I don't. Trayvon, save Martha. Yeah. What else is there? Jay Kelly says, a lot of plot holes in BVS, and the third act was terrible, but I enjoyed it for what it was trying to be. All right. I guess that's it. I caught up on all the comments, finally. Oh, wait, yep. I caught up on all the comments. Trayvon says, who's willing to bet the UK is still butthurt that their homeboy Henry Cavill is no longer super? I literally thought that when all those UK critics were saying how bad this movie was. I really was thinking that when I got that or saw those. I was. Critic Chris says, Man of Steel I thought was a great start to the DCEU, but I agree Warner Brothers was rushing it to catch up to Marvel quick. They were, unfortunately. It was ridiculous. They shouldn't have done that. But they did, unfortunately. All right, guys. It's been real. It's been fun. And it's been real fun. But I'm going to have to get out of here. We will do this again next Thursday, obviously. But before then, I will have my normal Slavs Free Talk podcast on Monday. So there will be a fun show Monday coming up where we talk about all things. Look, there's some cool things that came up. Like there was a Tron Ares trailer. There was a Stranger Things trailer. There was a Mortal Kombat trailer. There's so much stuff to talk about on Monday's show. So make sure you don't miss that if you're a fan of all things pop culture, not just DC, because we're going to talk all about that stuff on Monday. So I'm excited about that. So make sure you come back for that. If you're not already a subscriber, hit that subscribe button. Man of Steel Mangolia says, I'm wondering how they will approach Batman and Talia al Ghul getting pregnant. They may just glance over that, honestly. All right. But anyways, guys, thank you all so much for stopping by. It was a blast. Had a lot of fun. And with all that said, I will catch you all later. Maybe. Can I hit the button? Hit the button.